Hey guys, and in today's video I will be giving you my best advice for inventory management and how the perfect inventory can help you win many more of your games. We'll be going over certain items and what items each legend should focus more on, but before we get into this, remember that Apex Legends has always ever come down to the player, so everyone is different. So with that in mind, everything I tell you today is merely just a guide on what I would personally do. I would always also advise that you take the advice and include what you prefer to run, as I know that some people prefer to have shield batteries over a grenade per se. I personally love to have 4 to 5 grenades, for fun, for a bit of banter, but that's not exactly great, But let's start with the healing. I think it's crucial to have medkits as well as syringes. The perfect setup, in my opinion, would be 2 medkits and 4 syringes. I think any more than this, and this would be complete overkill. If you have, to pop off 4 medkits in the late game, you are in a bit of trouble. The same with 8 syringes. If you're in that late game stage and you're popping off 8 syringes, you might want to, switch up your position a little bit. But you are missing out on crucial space for extra ammo or even an extra grenade if you opt for even more than 4 syringes. You can be a bit loose with this suggestion because if you and your teammate have a very good lifeline, or your teammate is a very good lifeline, but please just do me one favor, don't have a lifeline on your team and trust and assume that you don't need any healing in your inventory. What I mean by that is I have many friends that play Apex and I can barely trust my teammates, let alone a random. And so going back to it, what I'm potentially saying is if you have a lifeline, you can get away with only 1 stack of healing, whether that's medkits or syringes. I have seen people mention that if you have a lifeline, it is good to ignore heals altogether, but as I said, I barely trust my my actual teammates rather than randoms. Plus, in my opinion, it's also good to have some in case you get separated in a fight and then you have to heal, or you're not potentially with your lifeline anymore across the battlefield. You're going to need to heal yourself. Another way to look at this is if you play Octane, you can get away with using just 4 syringes or just 2 medkits, just one or the other. As I have found that with your passive health regeneration and the use of a syringe, you can get back into the fight pretty quickly, especially if you have gold armor. Which I can actually segue onto my next point. If you have gold armor, you should swap out the shield batteries for shield cells and medkits for syringes. That should go without saying, but I just wanted to cover my bases before you all let me know in the comments. You should also subscribe if you enjoy the content, but that should go without saying. Don't subscribe, that's also fine too. Shield batteries and shield cells are a gift from the gods. The huge difference I have noticed between low level and high level players are the ability to constantly use their time well. And what I mean by this is, I've noticed that a lot of the high level players will shield cell every second they can. But how many should you have? I've found the sweet spot to be about 2 stacks of shield batteries and 2 stacks of shield cells, as this will give you enough to share with your team, or for when you and the last squad are just trading shots back and forth before one of you starts the final engagement. I will also say, if you have a Phoenix kit, just go ahead and get rid of one of the shield cell stacks, as the batteries are much more important. Next up, let's talk about grenades, one of my favourite things in the Apex Legends universe. I'm a firm believer that you can never have enough grenades. However, I do think the best amount, if you're not joking around, is 2 to 3. And personally, I'd go for the Arc Star and Thermite grenade, but that is all down to you. I do have a grenade guide coming out next week, I believe, which is going to go over into details of each one. But obviously, if you're playing Fuse, you can just carry more grenades. You get 2 grenades per stack. And it might be beneficial for you to take an extra 2 grenades and cut back on another item. Think syringes, shield cells. And again, especially if you're paired with a lifeline. A good lifeline, not a teammate lifeline, not a random lifeline either. The biggest thing that is debated when it comes to inventory management is ammo. Shotguns stack in 16, so I wouldn't advise on taking more than 2 lots. I would even argue that 1 slot of 16 is good enough for you to take on 1 fight. The problem then occurs if you have to take another fight immediately after, but then it also comes down to the shotguns you're using. So the EVA 8, I find that I miss a lot more of my shots with the EVA 8, so I would be picking up more shotgun ammo if I was using the EVA 8, as opposed to if I was using a Mastiff or a Peacekeeper. The Mastiff, I barely miss my shots because the spread is so generous. So I would definitely only be taking 16. When it comes to light and heavy ammo, I would say 3 to 4 stacks would probably be enough to get you through the fight. The problem is, and this is one thing that I've been working on myself, is grabbing ammo from people you have killed, as well as shield swapping. I've only just recently got the hang of shield swapping, and now I'm trying to get the hang of ammo grabbing, I guess you could call that the trend. But for some reason, whenever I open up the inventory menu, during a fight, not during a fight, walking through a field, my brain just turns to jelly. I don't really understand it. But I am trying to get good with it, and I think that's what a lot of people need to focus on, is not so much learning new skills, but, you know, growing the skills they already have. Snipers are a difficult one. I don't really use snipers that much because I find them a bit too, you know, unforgiving when it comes to trying to hit the target. But I think you could get away with having 3 to 4 stacks, because you should be, you know, picking shots from afar, and then, you know, moving in with your secondary gun. And I think this is the main talking point in the video, is that ammo, because it's very hard to know how much you will need, and if you have the ability to find more ammo throughout the game. Now let's talk a little bit about legends and what you can kind of interchange depending on who you've got and what you want in your inventory. So obviously Watson has her shield regeneration in her ultimate, so you don't need to carry as many shields if your team is playing very reserved in the kind of, you know, mid to end game with the Watson. With a lifeline, you've got the healing drone, you've got the ultimate, the care package, which will always give you shields and syringes, so you can be a bit loose with those and carry potentially some more grenades. Loba with her ultimate as well, you can grab ammo pretty much any time. You can grab shield cells, shield bats at any time. So you can kind of, you know, be a bit sporadic in terms of inventory choice. And then finally you've got Octane. Now, as I said earlier, Octane does have the ability to health regen, so it's good to either A, carry syringes and medkits for your team, but also to cut back on medkits and syringes because you don't need those with your health regeneration. Now, thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, consider dropping a sub to the channel. You can catch me live on Twitch streaming Apex Legends. I do just mess around and have a great time, I'm not gonna lie. I play a lot of Apex and I fail a lot of Apex. Upcoming videos, you have the gold armor versus red Evo shield, and also a grenade guide. And I might even chuck in, you know, how to master Bangalore in Apex Legends. Considering that Shiv FPS has actually stopped playing Bangalore, I think there's room for someone to take over. Alright guys, on to the next video. I'll see you later on.